All right.
Hey,
All
Asaf.
right.
How are you, man?
What is up? That was the fade wasn't a
Yeah, the
hundred
fade wasn't
percent
exactly right.
smooth. Okay, that's my bad. That's my bad.
Okay.
But fade us
So,
in, man. Fade us in.
fade us in. Okay,
Yeah.
hello, everyone. We are here with you, The Great Transition. We are on show number 3 on the new YouTube channel, The Great Transition channel on YouTube. Exciting times. So, the world, if you feel that the world is splitting in half, at least if you're in America, for sure you see the world is splitting in half. If there's if you feel like something is Asaf, I'm not sure where to go with this. My kid just showed me a video of a party in New York City with nobody wearing masks and everyone
Mm,
dancing around, and I felt
right.
like we're out of business, man. Everyone's back to normal, and
Oh, of course. And
so
there's a vaccine coming
there's a
soon.
vaccine, everyone's dancing in the
Of
streets
course.
without
Of
masks.
course.
So I'm not exactly sure where to go with this because I'm not sure about the relevance anymore. I think all the problems are over.
I
So
think
anyway,
that if you hear this right now and you feel that this is relevant, if you feel that something huge is happening in the world, doesn't matter what the news tell you, doesn't matter what is happening on the streets, something huge is happening in the human network. I think, Seth, if people are feeling that, then they're welcome to the great transition, because this is what's happening here. um how would you put it, man? I don't know.
for sure, well, I wouldn't trust the media. That's one thing, and not from a Republican perspective or a Democratic perspective, but the stories are so. Um, I would just go all the way back to the beginning, man. I would go back to the Big Bang. That's how I would frame everything that's happening now. I would go all the way back to the beginning of
This
creation,
okay.
where at first everything was contained in a singularity, and as it came out of that Big Bang, everything split into two. There was, before that there was no measurement, there was no beginning, no end, no light, no dark, no nothing. And then after that, everything split and developed very nice, according to, well, actually it was pretty much not so nice, a lot of wars, but it developed pretty, um, well, according to a plan, a plus and minus plan through the inanimate degree, through the vegetative degree, to the animal degree, until we got to the human degree, which is also now clearly a huge split between this plus and minus. Imagine if you took the proton or the electron out of an atom. You wouldn't be able to really
Okay.
sustain the inanimate degree or anything for a second as soon as you remove either the plus force or the minus force. So here we see a giant division between forces, and we're on our way to nuclear annihilation, basically, if we don't figure out how we're going to correctly uh, balance, connect the plus and the
But
minus.
we don't need to worry about any of that now, Seth, because there
No,
is
that's why we're
there
here, the great
there
transition, to talk about how we can go through this transition
no, but
correctly.
there is a vaccine right now. And
Oh, that's what you're saying.
the
Right. Yes. Everything
vaccine
will calm
is
down and go
going
back to
is
normal.
going to fix everything. Okay, okay. Let's just go straight into it, man. I think people are eager to get into this as well. I saw some things on the chat here, even people who went on here on the chat even before the show. By the way, we have a lot of people now coming in from Florida and from Utah and from Egypt. And I saw someone from
Oh, super
Spain,
high
I
vibes from
think.
Finland.
Puerto Rico, I see. Okay, we got a bunch of places. We got a bunch of places now with us. Yeah, and Nairobi, Kenya is with us, man. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so guys, tell us, just go ahead and tell us where you're watching from if you haven't told us already. And let's talk about this. So, obviously, I think most people by now have seen this, right? So, Pfizer, pharmaceuticals company, says COVID-19 vaccine is looking 90% effective. So that means that it at least from this headline, it looks like that's it, right? It looks like we're done. We can the great transition
Over.
is
We're
completed.
out of a job.
Where, yeah, it looks like it.
We made the
Um,
transition back to working like slaves and 40% obese and 30% of kids on anti or on some kind of
yeah,
psychological medication.
Ritalin, and yeah, we're back to that, back to that. No, but really, I mean, look, there's reason to be happy. Of course, there's really reason to be encouraged when you see such a headline. The question is really, are we going back to normal in a few months because of this vaccine? And also, what does it mean to get back to normal? What is normal anyways? And before you even talk about what's normal, is this real? Is this for real? Like, that's it? This whole pandemic situation is over? We certainly like to think that. I don't think it's a bad idea to be encouraged by a new vaccine, but yours truly has done some research. I had to get to the bottom of this. No, and just by bottom of this, I just mean just to look at something like this. So you see what you see in headlines from, the mainstream media and those immediate news agencies. And then you have like the research journals, like Nature, pretty much one of the most respected research journals that have their own kind of coverage of this new announcement. Uh, and I'll just, I read all of this, and I also happen to have just a little bit of prior knowledge in medicine, just a little bit from the IDF, so it wasn't foreign language to me. But I gotta tell you this: it seems like we know a bunch of things about this vaccine, but we don't know a lot of things, like the 90% thing, for instance. So we don't really know if it's 90% efficient, because right now they tested, about 94 people they have with cases from those that participated in the study. They're still looking for about 50 more people that they need to see what will happen with them, and that might take down the efficiency from 90 to anywhere above 50. And even if it's 51%, the FDA will approve it as something that should go out to the public. So right
Yikes.
now it's 90, but we don't really know if it remains 90 when the trial is over. We also don't know if it actually blocks transmission, just so you know. So the fact that we say vaccine, it doesn't mean actually necessarily that by getting this shot, or two shots to be exact, in about a 2 weeks difference or something like that, that it doesn't mean that this will necessarily block the transmission of COVID. It may just prevent the symptoms of COVID. Now, just think about this for a second. If you have people vaccinated and they don't show any symptoms, so they don't have the disease COVID-19, but they might very well carry the virus, SARS-CoV-2, COVID, right? So that means they can still carry and infect other people while showing no symptoms. So we don't know that about this new vaccine as well. We also don't know if it works in severe cases or just in mild cases, just because there's no control for this in the experiment so far.
Maybe we
You
should
you want
take
more?
all our budget and just buy a rock that we can hide underneath.
We also don't know if it works on specific demographics. So, for instance, we keep saying that the people who are over 65 or over 70, we keep saying these are the people who are most prone to danger because of COVID. So we don't know if it works well on those people, or even
There's
on, yeah, on other
So we're not. So again, everyone, you're here at the great transition. We are not Republicans. We are not Democrats. We're not this. We're not. We're looking up. We're going above all of the day-to-day headlines and looking at everything through a special kind of lens we do a dive into the news stories to kind of play around in there and then come back up for air, if you will, and look at it from above. So when we dive in, let's get a little bit messy, and then we come back up again. So um, there's just want to say that we're not pro one politician or another, or for vaccinations or against vaccinations. That's not the point of what we're talking about, and that's not the point of this analysis. Um, we've been saying for 6 months, because of the understanding of the nature of what's going on, that a vaccine isn't going to solve the problem. A vaccine might be able to help with certain things, but what we understand is that if you're able to suppress COVID-19, there'll be schmovid or blovid or snowvid or something else will come. Nature has plenty of tools as she's developing us. We're not going to be able to hold back waves of nature. So let's keep talking about this vaccine here. Chris just sent us something. He said that well, geez, Asaf, it's how can you kind of believe anything in the news? It's hard to believe anything from anyone. But this person at the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy said all we have right now is a headline by Pfizer. It's hard to tell.
It's yeah, and also there's a really known, widely known and accepted infectious disease expert, Dr. Hazeltine, Bill Hazeltine or William Hazeltine, and he calls it. That's a very interesting. I thought that was a very interesting line. He said, "This is science by public pronouncement." Now, it's kind of funny.
We also have president by
exactly when you think about, wow, so the media has the power to crown people and heal people. That's amazing. That's pretty amazing. It's too bad we didn't know that in advance. There's so much more we can do with the media. No, but look, let's be, I understand we need to balance the doom and gloom. We are not doom and gloom. We want to tell you that there is something greater, better than anything we are familiar with in our lifetime, in our life in this world right now, and we have the opportunity to get to that new, bigger, beautiful thing in our lifetime. But first we got to understand where we are. We're in a reality where our world is broken. The relationships between people are corrupted, and that's why even the media and the communication channels that we have between us, they're distorted and filled with filth and distortion, and it's very hard for us to get across to each other with pure messages. It's very hard for us to therefore even get clean information, and the more from day to day this is becoming more and more complicated to do. And even our healthcare systems are very much motivated by profit. And this is where I want to bring up this one more point about this announcement about the 90% efficient new vaccine. So we said we don't know if it blocks transmission. We don't really know if it's 90% efficient. We don't know if it works on specific demographics. We don't know for how long it works, by the way. No one knows. No one knows yet. There's just not enough data to show. You don't know if if it holds for 2 weeks or 3 months or even 6 months. So, it's not like any other already known and used and tested vaccine that we know is good for 3 years or 5 years. No one really knows. You also don't know even the severity and the duration, the frequency of side effects. So there's so much that we don't know. And like that doctor or that infectious disease expert said, this is pretty much at the moment science by public announcement. So that makes you think, why announce so fast then? Why?
Noah Moore said the vaccine is 90% profitable.
Oh, there you go. So that's what I wanted to show you. So why announce so fast? There you go. So Pfizer CEO cashed out 60% of his stock on the same day the company unveiled the results of COVID.
No. I read the story. Apparently, he set up the trade months
That's
ago.
what and I spoke to Onena Vigdor, one step ahead of you, our financial advisor, and I asked him, what's going on with this thing? So this guy, he knew in advance. They say in the article that, they set up these things in advance. He said, yeah, that's what Moderna also said. And the same infectious disease expert called him out. Look, we don't really know if he doesn't believe in his own vaccine, and we don't really know. They always say they set it up these things in advance. It's a routine process where they sell their stocks. But come on, come on. So let's just say that they really know how to use opportunities. You know what I mean? So the I mean, there's 5.6 million dollars to be made in one day, because if you make such an announcement, the hype around it immediately mean the stocks go up. Um, it also, just like if you make certain announcements, it can deter people from doing things, or can, push them towards doing other things. One way or another, we're looking at a situation where, and this is where what I want us to really get into. Why are we so prone to? Why are we so, easily welcoming such an announcement? Why are we so, it's like we have a knee-jerk reaction to, like, yeah, oh, finally. I bet you that for millions of people who heard this headline, or saw this on the news, it was like, oh, you know finally, we're done with the COVID
Mhm.
era.
Yeah,
And
we got rid of the terrible president, we got our vaccine, and we can go back to life as we remember, back to destroying the earth, back to posturing for nuclear war, back to being depressed every day, back to giving our not having enough
can,
time for our kids and
can you
putting them
say it in
down.
a more depressive tone?
Put our kids in front of media, which shows them just destruction of family, shows them how to just lie and cheat from each other and steal from each other. We're going back, baby. We're going back.
Yeah. No, but look, I want to say this. I think that people need some encouragement. You can't
Oh, let
take
me
that
change my
away.
tone then.
Take the No, but I'm saying, at least you know that this is what this shot is, right? This Pfizer shot. It's a shot of encouragement. That's pretty much what it is at the moment. I mean, we don't really know how effective it is and what will happen with it with regards to the vaccine. But at least people are encouraged a little bit. I don't think that it's definitely some progress. There's definitely some vaccine in the works, and all that. But we are, like you just said, how you detailed, what we're actually thinking about going back to. It's like we are encouraged by the wrong thing, or by the wrong idea. You
Here's
know what I
here's a
mean?
here's a very can I say the K word on our new channel?
You should once in a while.
Very, very, very important concept from the wisdom of Kabbalah, which makes it so unique and so beautiful. Imagine, for example, you raise a child and you say to the child, like the child wakes up in the morning, maybe once he's like 7 years old, 6 years old, and he starts saying, things are going to happen today that are going to be challenging. We're going to have a challenge today. When it happens, let's say a special word, or let's spin in a circle, or let's clap our hands 3 times. And then when it happens, let's figure out how to get past it quickly. And so, right at the beginning, we explain to kids how nature works. Every day, all the time, something is going to happen. And then we're going to respond to it in the correct way. So now here we are. We didn't have that this kind of education. But here we are as adults living in a world with really no clue about how this thing works. Look at us all confused. Every single day we wake up, we're confused. Maybe I made some money today. Maybe someone cute looked at me today and I'm in a good mood. But in general, we're confused all the time. We're sour, upset all the time. We don't have enough of this. We don't have enough of that. let's look at something very, very interesting about how to look at the world through this new lens as we go through the great transition. Nature, life gives us an uncomfortable feeling. Okay. The media, um, basically everything else, immediately tries to tell you how to get rid of that bad feeling. Either get rid of a politician, or typically it's buy something, watch something, consume something, right? Believe something, and that will make your bad feeling go away. So, no, we're saying specifically the bad feeling, that's really, really correct. And it's very, very true. The reason I feel empty right now is because there's a lot of emptiness. It's actually very, very true. What we need to then do is recognize it and say, in that place, I'm actually feeling the true state of reality. In truth, there's a lot of problems here. There's a lot of separation here. In truth, that's what's happening. I see that. Somehow I was able to see that. Instead of trying to just cover over it or wash over it, no, I accept it. And then there I say, this is where the light needs to shine. Then we have a group like this, all these friends from however many 50 countries that join us on the show together. And all of us, we start to look at this new future, and it's called light fills in that empty space. And boom, that's it. We're done with it. Once it pinches us, once that uncomfortable feeling pinches us, that's all we need. We tasted it. We understand something's not right. We understand we need to then add love. We need to build this new direction for ourselves, which we can only do by supporting each other. And then we're past that level, and we move on to the next level. If we just stay stuck, and this is what everyone does, right? Imagine my dad's parents were super like iconic. They were like this older generation. They just, the way they looked, the way they dressed, the way they carried themselves, they were like this iconic generation. My grandpa was like hopped freight. She was in he lived in Manhattan, I guess in the 30s. He like hopped freight trains, like railroad trains across to San Francisco. He's like traveling across the country on trains, like with like no money, just like jumping on a train, and like very interesting people. So my grandma, when she was in her 90s, every holiday meal that we would be together, she'd always, after she would eat, she would start burping and say, she'd be like, "Oh, Sethi, I ate too much." I remember that happening for 10 years. 10 years of my life, this amazing woman ate too much every single time. So this is what I'm talking about. For me, I was like 18, 19 years old. I realized to myself, I'm going to stop eating when I'm full. And, you know, like I learned that like quickly. So think about how many problems hey, grandma, think about how many problems we have that were like my grandmother. Again, the same problem. The next day, the same thing. I think about it again. I repeat it again. I do the same thing. I just stay stuck in it. This is what it means in the wisdom of Kabbalah, that we can like hasten time. When we stay stuck in a problem, we wake up and we have this problem, it like stretches time, and we just sit there and just suffer for longer and longer and longer and longer. If we can understand what's happening, we're talking about the virus, we're talking about the vaccine, we're talking about all these things. What we really want to do, we're not here to, it's not a show about medicine and the vaccine. What we want to do is be able to see life from a new way, just by looking at all the things that are happening in front of us, with the split between the political parties, with the vaccine, with the economy. Through these things, we can start to understand what's happening. If we can start to see what's happening and why we're getting these feelings. Why do I feel empty when I wake up? How do I deal with it? Why do I feel empty 20 minutes after I wake up, and then again 3 hours after that? What do I start to do when I start to feel this? Which friends do I have? Which people can I surround myself with, which help me constantly remember what's happening, where we're headed? And then I'm going through the states really quickly. Then I'm hastening time. I'm hastening these things. And this is how, Asaf, I don't even remember at all how I got into this topic
I
and how
don't
it's
know,
related
but
to
I
the
like
virus.
it. I don't know either, but I do like where you're going. So why stop there? No, I think you just to me, you just kind of laid out a few levels on which we need to look at the situation. You know, there are problems in the world, and then there is our expectation, our knee jerk reaction, our hopes and aspirations as to solving these problems, right? And then you have another level, which is public perception and public social influence and media influence. And but I'm not, it's not that my point is bashing the media. I just want to point out and show how we are so dependent on what we communicate to each other. We literally create the kind of thoughts and worldviews, you know, through what we say to each other. And so there's, and now to relate it to what you were saying, so there's all these problems. What kind of influence do we need from each other to overcome the problems in the right way? To actually start hearing the message through these issues that the world is going through these viruses that nature is sending to us, through these divisions and conflicts that are happening in society to an unprecedented level these days. What can we see that is actually something that we can do about it? You know? And if we
So
be, yeah, go
we
ahead.
see in front of us now, America is splitting into two.
and
Can
it
we
and it's
make
happening all over the Western world. I just gotta plug that in, man. It's happening. This division, this social polarization, this extreme political divide that we're seeing left and right. Left becomes more left, right becomes more right. More importantly, there's a bigger and bigger gap that's opening up, becoming wider and less bridgeable between two parts of the population.
so
That happens.
so
That is happening all over the Western world, man.
David Mancini
Everywhere.
says maybe two Americas is better than one. Maybe it's a good thing, and maybe it's true that
Hmm.
you can make two countries out of it. But here's the problem: the line. It's not a straight line that you can cut. You'd have to cut a line through every town. You'd have to cut a line through every family. You'd actually have to cut a line through every cell in your body, because the division that we see happening in humanity is the exact same division that we see night and day. We see high tide and low tide. We see uh, electron and proton. Everything in all of creation is built of these two opposing forces. Before this, we lived much more instinctually. Now, as humanity develops, two Americas with guns is not a good idea, Kevin says. Yes, you're right, Kevin. I think there's 300. I think there's enough for like two guns for every American or something like that. So anyway, it's impossible because we would literally need to split every family, every cell. The As we developed from instinctual into more conscious, we are beginning to see the plus and minus. And then the exciting thing for us, the exciting transition that we're going through now is while all of the other parts of nature, inanimate, vegetative, and animal, are all doing this, are living by instinct and are balancing this plus and minus naturally. They know when to fly, they know when to wake up, they know when to procreate, right? A cat, it's March, he makes his babies. The rest of the year, he just sits there like licking his paws and just like hanging out,
Yeah.
right? Like they're not, cats like, I had a hard day, I want to go to the bar tonight and see if I can hook up. It doesn't happen like that in the animal world. Everything is by instinct, everything is by a plan. For us now, we're totally conscious and we're seeing the plus and minus, and then we need to consciously connect the plus and the minus. It's not going to come from a politician,
Hmm.
for sure. Asaf, do we need to say something about what's going on with the channels? There's a bunch
I
of
think
messages
we
about
should
that.
just mention, yeah, it's true. We should just mention that if you want, you can watch this show is kind of syndicated in several places these days. But if you want to make sure that you catch all of our broadcasts every time we go live, all of the video clips that we're doing in that we're making in between the shows and other things that are happening. If you want to make sure you're up to date with the Great Transition, then where you want to be is the Great Transition channel on YouTube, and you can find it by going to the link that appears on the screen right now. It'll probably be there in the chats in a moment as well. So if you go there and subscribe to that channel, then you'll definitely make sure
Oh yeah, look at those
that you
special
are
effects.
up to
Nice.
date. so so that's where you want to be if you want to get everything the Great Transition, and also communicate with us in the chat, because we can't really look at too many chats at the same time. So this is where we're gonna put most of our focus on. If you wanna, connect with us during the live show, and you're welcome to do it over there. So
Need to
yeah, and
know
you
on
can do it
YouTube.
right now. If you can do it right now, if you're
Oh
watching in
yeah.
another place, you can also move right now and meet us on the chat. So yeah.
Need to know on YouTube says divorced children either are really hard or very kind. I think he's saying
Hmm.
maybe either we're very hard or very kind. Um, all right, there's a
I,
couple different questions. A couple
yeah,
different questions
let's
here.
go with them. Let's go.
Okay, so Sheila on Facebook says, "What is the cost or the harm of the vaccine?" Well, I don't think we're experts enough to
No,
discuss.
I think she's asking from the point of view of the Great Transition, from the point of view of human evolution, from the point of view of what we can draw upon from the wisdom of Kabbalah. That's how I feel the question. So the
Okay,
I,
so
if that's the question, Sheila, maybe I didn't get it right, but if it is indeed the question, then there is there is some calculation here. There is definitely a calculation here, because look, nature, if nature simply wanted us to get better with our bioengineering or biotechnology, you know, then this just designing a vaccine would be enough. But you know what? It's not. It is not. This whole COVID era that we are getting into right now, this is not something that, it's not a cosmic fluke. It's not some random thing that happened. Oh, it came from a whatever, a bat in China, or even, it was engineered in a lab, whatever you want to believe. This is an influence that is now permeating the whole collective human network. For the first time in human history, we are globally interdependent. We were never before a globally interdependent species connected across the globe. We need to start matching our mindset, our feeling about who we are and what we're supposed to do here with each other and towards nature. We're supposed to start upgrading these attitudes to be something new. And that's why there are influences like COVID right now that are influencing and shaping the entire global human network. And so while we are on our way to a vaccine, and altogether, with all of the hype in the media, and whether the Pfizer CEO was using it also in order to, using a headline to raise up the stocks, to sell the stocks to get money, even put all that aside. We're all driven by the human ego, and that's how we work, and that's why the world is designed the way it's designed right now. Even put that aside, it's not a bad thing that there is some progress. There's definitely some measurable progress towards a vaccine, and we're not dissing that. This is a good thing, sure. But if we are not advancing on the attitude level that I just described, on the mindset level, if we are not starting to be conscious of where nature is trying to push us, what Seth was talking about a couple minutes ago, that we have to rise consciously to a new state of mind, to a new level of human experience, unlike, animals that are driven by instincts and that's it. If we don't do that step as well, if we don't push that progress as well and as fast as possible, then we argue this vaccine is not going to help, even if
No
it is.
argument. No argument. This
Okay,
is this is just plan.
we tell you.
We predict.
we no, looking at the laws of nature, the deeper laws of nature that are determining human evolution, and this move towards greater and greater connection that you see throughout all of nature. Human beings are now being pushed towards connection as well. If we don't advance of our own accord and make a step towards that advancement, towards that state, then all these balancing forces, these pushing forces that are pushing us from behind, like COVID. So instead of COVID, we'll have schmovid or blovid, like Seth beautifully
We
coined at the
yeah,
beginning
as I
of the
call
show.
beautifully
I
called it,
liked I
bloated and
liked
schmovid.
blovid. Blovid is nice. It's
So in the past, we lived in a fam. So if you imagine each person is like, I'm already old. I'm like 46. How old are you?
36.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
So do you know
we
what
are.
gears are in a watch?
What?
Gears in a watch?
Dude, talk to me about how many swipes how many swipes in a
Okay, so in a
day to. No,
watch,
no, I'm
I need
kidding. I'm
some
kidding.
youngsters
I'm
like you
kidding. I
know what
believe there were watches at some point in time.
there was a
And
watch,
we
and
we
inside it was
millennials didn't experience them in full, but you boomers,
you read about them. You heard about them. You saw video on about them.
we heard it.
So
We saw
inside a
you.
watch,
Yeah.
there's all of these gears. Inside a machine, there's all these gears, and they probably nothing is like that anymore. Um, but one gear, well, we'll need to come up with some new analogies. But what happens is you can have 20, 30, 40 gears in there. When one turns, the others turn, right? And you can have one that's very, very small,
Yeah.
but it might be spinning many, many times. As it spins many times, another one then spins a few times, and the bigger one spins, but everything is connected. You can't have one that turns without the other one
It's a
turning, right?
beautiful system, actually. It's a really
So the second one is
magnificent
turning, and when
thing.
it does something, and then the
Yeah.
minute one goes, and then you have kind of a date also. So every
And they
24
seemingly go at different speeds, at different
different speeds and
frequencies.
different
Yeah.
directions, right?
Very
But they're
cool.
all
Yeah.
moving together, and you can't
Yeah.
separate one from the other. So this is what it's kind of like human society, basically. So it used to be that a family, that was your gears. If you had 5, 6, 8 people in your family, however many it was, that was your thing. One is making babies, one is hunting food, one is I don't know what. Each one is doing its own thing, right? But I mean, each one is doing their thing within that small family. As humanity developed, then there was towns, right? So you have 10 families here and another 10 families over here, and in between them they built some kind of road, and then they did something else, and maybe they shared a well. They took place building a well together and doing it. And then eventually you had countries, until today, the whole world. Today, as you were saying, what one person does really affects, we'll start to discover more and more that each person, we're all like these gears inside this watch, inside this
Yes.
machine. And
Yeah.
each and every one of us is affecting all of the other ones. And so there's nothing really to be afraid of. All of the things we see in the media, we can calm down. These two, I mean, we shouldn't calm down to the point where we don't take seriously what's happening and take our role seriously. I mean, even with us here, we'll read it in a minute. The representation of the friends here, we're literally blanketing the whole world. We have a very, very serious role, and we should be serious about what we need to do, but we can also calm down about this mess that we see going on outside of us, because this isn't how there's a purpose for it, in order to bring us to this state. But the people here have already kind of come to this state. We already realize There's something else going on. That's the purpose of the sting, like we talked about before. We don't need to suffer for months and years in this
I
mess.
I want to add a positive reservation to this.
Go ahead.
May I? We can calm down if we are um, if we are aspiring for more connection between us. That's what I would say. Like, we can see that everything is actually going according to plan. We can kind of change gears and get into the flow of see how all this mess actually is not a mess. It's there's a plan to this madness, there nature's and evolution is a very interesting kind of dynamic, and we can see it, and we can even be amazed by the beauty of it, and we can see the positive in it, on the condition that we aim our hearts at better human connection. Just agree with this idea that at the end of the day, all those differences between us and all those conflicts and feuds that we're having, it's only in order to find a more advanced level of our common humanity. It's only in order to discover that we are actually, pieces of the same picture. We are actually connected through both, invisible and visible threads. We just have to embrace them. And then we'll start seeing that everything around us that seems chaotic is actually just pushing us to see that.
So
Political
a softener.
division? Why political division? Because we need to rise above that. People are getting sick in one place of the world, it influences everyone else in the other end of the world. Why is that? Because we need to recognize that we're interdependent. The economy in one place in the world suffers, and then you see that it has effects and ramifications, ripple effects all around the world. Why is that? Because we're starting to discover that we're one thing, that we are a single entity, almost a collective kind of entity. Go ahead, man. I,
The
what
things
did
that
I
we're
stop
talking,
there? Yeah.
the things that we're discussing, let's try them on. I'm asking all the friends who are with us, try them on. First of all, don't believe anything we say. You should definitely, if there's something that you should do your research in it, but you have to try it on. Otherwise, it's if you keep one foot, if you don't stick your foot in the pool, like, you're not going to feel the water. So what we're doing here is not just giving another opinion out of many, many opinions. What we're doing is trying as much as possible to show a point of view that we learn about in the wisdom of Kabbalah, which is only nature. The reason why we don't speak in spiritual terms and all that is because really at the end of the day, we're only talking about the laws of nature, right? So if you start to understand the laws of nature, for example, if you understand that all of nature is permeated by a bestowing force, I don't know what it is. We don't know what it is, but we can understand. We can see there's billions and billions of stars. Where did that energy come from? I don't know, but they're shining, right? There's millions and billions of animals and heartbeats, and where did they come from? I don't know, but somewhere there's some power that makes everything go, right? There's some force that makes everything go, on the one hand. On the other hand, there is a receiving force. That's why every single one of you thinks you're the coolest, thinks you're the best, thinks you should be the richest, thinks you should be the most famous. That's why we all have this kind of this feeling that it's all for me. I want, me. It's the exact opposite of the bestowing force. Now, if you were a giraffe, it's very, very limited. You want to eat, you want to procreate, you want to sleep, and maybe run around and play a little bit. If you're a bird, you want to do, those same things in your own form. Once we become humans, our minus force in relation to this infinite bestowing force, our minus force becomes infinite. We we're endless. Our desire, our need can, I mean, until we're about to die, or unless we just completely just like shut it down, decide to become a Buddhist monk and sit on a mountaintop and renounce all, which by the way, I tried, not fully, but I did try that path a little bit. Try to I didn't get even a smirk out of you. Where are you? What are you looking at, Asaf? Where are you? Are you with me? You're not even laughing at my
There's a
jokes.
you're right.
Okay. Anyway,
there's a no. I'll say there's Imboli Simbanka in our chat, and I believe this is the first time we are seeing this name. So hello, and I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Deeply sorry for that. Hopefully you'll teach us how to pronounce it better. But he or she just said something as you were talking that just really got me, which is that he or she said, chaos can be a beautiful thing. It should be respected, not fear. Anthony Paul also said chaos is an opportunity to reveal light. And and I gotta say, there's a deep aspect to this. Sorry I don't know if it fits into to the wavelength you were on a minute ago, but when we go through chaos, we defocus our current way of thinking, our current way of feeling, our senses become non-operational in a sense. When we experience chaos, you know we become paralyzed. But that defocusing, that paralysis, is the very state that enables you to move to a higher state of evolution, to move to a new level of balance, new level of clarity. So the fact that everything is becoming chaotic in 2020 all around the world, and that we're feeling that human beings are feeling that it weighs in on our consciousness, that's a good sign. That's a positive sign. That's a sign of a precursor to human evolution. That's where we're standing. That's why we're at the threshold of this whole new level of consciousness that we need to enter. So I just find it really, really nice. And Mboli is a he. Now we need to just understand how to pronounce the name. So you can help us with that as well. Anyway, man, yeah, so that's what got me.
okay. Well, I have no idea where I was. What I don't remember at all what we were talking about. But um, uh,
um,
okay, what we were saying was that what we're talking about here is laws of nature. So we have, even there, we have this endless force that's powering all the stars, making all the hearts beat. And on the other side, in all of reality, it's something that's absorbing that, receiving that. It's taking its life force from that. For like a little housefly that takes the life force for its 48-hour life, or it's like us that takes the life force for our 80, 90, whatever many years, or it's some turtle that takes the life force for 200 years. One way or another, we're all taking that force, using it to make our hearts beat, using it to invigorate our lives. So we have this big plus and minus. Again, again. Okay. It's everywhere.
again, plus and minus, you mean?
Again, everywhere we're going to find it. Okay. So that's what is unique about what we're talking about here. It's not just some opinion. What we're trying to do, or what we on this show, is to arm everybody with wisdom, to understand and start to build inside yourself. Really, nothing that we're saying here is like going to enter inside of your ear and change your life. Really, what's happening here is that through talking about these things, through hearing these things, your internal reality your internal mechanism that which you perceive the world starts to change a little bit. So now when I go outside and I see the right side and the left side fighting against each other, oh, wait a second. That's the same ancient plus and minus that I see everywhere in nature. I see it in every atom. I see it in high tide, low tide. In fact, every day I see night and dark. Oh, it's just that nature is coming close. The upper force is like is coming closer to me. I'm seeing it clearly in front of my eyes more and more. And now we have the opportunity to play, to dance with this force of nature. Now we're talking about the transition we're talking about is a life so far beyond the life we left behind. Oh, you get a 1.5 days off at the end of the week to try and recoup before you have to go back to being a slave. No, that's not the life we're talking about. And once a year you get a vacation, or twice a year, or if you live in some European country, maybe you get a month off. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a whole different way of living, completely different way of living. It's not really time to get into what it looks like and how, because we don't know yet. But take these things that we're talking about, internalize them a little bit. Don't just believe things that you hear here, but internalize them. Start to look at the world with a new perspective. And together, really, that's the interesting thing, versus like the politicians. Oh, now I can go back to sleep. Joe Biden's president. Now I can whatever. Donald Trump is president. No, really what happens is when each and every person starts to feel what's happening in nature, starts to understand what's happening in nature, then you become an active part. Someone called them sheep or sheeple, like people that are sheep. People call them on the chat. I saw someone called them
Yeah.
sheeple before. We're
Yeah.
not sheeple anymore. All of a sudden you become an active part. You start participating. It's like someone has been flirting with you your entire adult life, or maybe even in your childhood, you started to even feel this thing, like someone was leading you forward towards some sort of treasure, and we weren't able to see it. And now we smell something in the air. We start to see something, and it's not coming from, we can look towards the news media to kind of see what the direction of humanity is moving, but we're not looking there for the truth. Of course, it's all lies. Completely. Everything there is a lie. What the politicians say is a lie. What the news media say is a lie. They have agendas to make profit, to be more famous, to be whatever. Asaf, let's just check in with, if we can for a minute, with all of the friends who are here, who are
Yes.
covering the planet.
This is you have a list. You have a list of you have
Denise, our friend Denise from Turkey, who is living in Texas, who is married to our amazing friend John, who is about to have a baby. She sent us a list in our chat here.
Okay.
Somehow she's still hanging on and helping us out here. So she told us that we have friends here from Quebec, Tenerife, Utah, Mount Hebron, North Carolina, Ohio, Kenya. Hello, Kenya. Connecticut, Colorado, Greece, Colombia, South America,
Woo.
California, Kiev, Kiev, Brazil, Melbourne, Louisiana, Portland, Denmark, New Jersey, Ghana, New York, Los Angeles, Mexico, Missouri, Plymouth, Chicago, Salt Spring Island, the Netherlands, Finland, Ethiopia, Serbia, North Carolina, and Washington.
Woo. Great.
If
I
any of
just
you has
no,
I was gonna
I
say, if anybody has a friend in Antarctica, if you can get them here, then we could cover every continent.
I do see we have Serbia as well on our TGT
Wow.
chat here as well. Listen, you guys, listen. All of you beautiful people with your beautiful smiling faces, we want to see you all the time. And on Sunday, we're not going to be broadcasting anywhere besides on the Great Transition
Tell us where
channel.
we are going to be broadcasting.
On the Great Transition
Really?
channel. We are
Great transition channel.
which is right now will be on the screen in 1 second. There we go. So on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, we're not going to be anywhere else besides bit.ly/the Great Transition. That's the YouTube channel we're going to be on. And in general, you're going to get videos in between the live shows and so on, only there. So if you want to connect with us, and we want you to connect with us, please do. Let's bring all of this power from all around the world into this positive consciousness that wants to, see that the chaos leads to a new order, that the messy is actually the precursor for a new beauty. That, everything that seems divisive is actually just expansive. We are just growing in our differences in order to grow our unity. We're going deeper in order to go higher. Let's all do this together from episode to episode. Our desire is really to connect with you guys, and it's not just an intellectual conversation. It's really more like a collective desire that we want to build here. That desire that human beings have, a conscious desire, is the only thing that nature needs from us. We'll get into that in future shows. I really hope we will. We also got a cool song for you, and we also have to wrap up. So I think, unless Seth, you want to add something before we do, maybe this will be a good note to sign off on. Be with us Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, on the Great Transition channel. And let's sing until then.
Do you hear that when I just did that?
I do. Yeah. That was by accident. I thought I was misreading your timing. No, Seth, say a word. Say a word before we go. We got a minute here.
Every friend here, by calibrating their internality, we become a gear in that machine that affects everyone else. So the holographic nature of reality means that when, for example, he told us how to pronounce his name,
Mbole,
Mary Spies, Black 64, Steve, Need to Know, Kevin, everybody, when we start to, and of course David Mancini and Kiko, when we start to calibrate in ourselves what's happening, it starts to do that in that part of Mbole. That when Mbole does that, it starts to affect the part, that gear inside of me, because we are all connected. So we start to perceive reality more and more as one integral whole, not as these two parts where we need to kill 50% of the population who doesn't believe like me, but we're the ones who start to build the system where everyone fits, where every part, there's no part that doesn't belong. Every part belongs, and every part is used, gets to bring its qualities to the whole. That's where we're headed.
Say a word about the song you're going to play for us.
This song. Okay. This song is called First Breath. It's about entering into that new reality. Made this song with Tosh from the UK, with Aaron from Baltimore, with Nadav and Danny from Israel. Hope you enjoy it, and we will see you Sunday on YouTube at the Great Transition channel. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, only in the Great Transition channel on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. See you there.
Masking out my heart from egoistic thoughts, learning all the lessons that this pressure gave us. Wanna save myself, I gotta save my neighbors. Slowly recognizing egoistic nature, showing us connection is the only savior. We gon' come together, plow these fields of hatred. All is one with sowing seeds of love relations.
You shatter these walls,
and we reaping joy. Ego is the evil seeking to destroy. Education covering the hate with love. Revelation blessings raining from above.
Just to hunt in a field that is blessed, and to come home with you and to rest. Just to hunt